welcome to DC Daily. I am Amy Dallin, and joining me today via the magic of the internet are Whitney Moore and Sam Levine. Hey!
Hey, Amy!
How was everybody's weekend?
It was great. I watched Harley Quinn, and that always makes you feel good.
Today we are talking about a surprisingly lovely episode of Harley Quinn called Thawing Hearts.
It was such a sweet episode.
So dang tender.
Yeah.
But before we delve into our burning hearts, here's what's coming up this week on DC Daily. All right, y'all. Thawing Hearts. The big Mr. Freeze story has hit us at last and hit us in a very, I'm going to say, surprising way. What were our big takeaways on this one?
This was one of the funniest but also sweetest and most tender episodes we've had of the show yet, where, I mean, and this is not a show that has ever shied away from exploring the, real world psyches of these completely fictional, insane world characters. But I loved it. I loved, right off the bat, it starts with Harley, claiming a victory for women and making a massive vagina in an ice sculpture.
Oh, a human one. Yeah.
I think to Sam's point, this show always surprises us with the emotional depth it can bring because it's so crazy and ridiculous, but then, there's true trauma stories and a true arc about how to heal from things like that. And that's something that we got a lot of in this episode. Plus she got a flamethrower, so very cool.
Yes.
Nothing gonna be wrong with that. Once again voiced by the incredible Alfred Molina. What do we think of Mr. Freeze?
It's so tender. It made me sad, and I feel like that was the intended reaction on the back half of this episode was Harley has this, because this is more than anything just to reflect Harley's experience and show her the different kinds of love and how you can be loved in ways that love works that aren't toxic. And this whole episode is so about her learning those things. And so at the end, I started feeling real bad, and you could feel that Harley felt bad too. And man, that was a heartbreaking last couple minutes.
I loved this Mr. Freeze. Honestly, it was such a fully realized Mr. Freeze, which for a 23-minute animated series that is typically very goofy, I was really blown away by how fully three-dimensional this Mr. Freeze was. It's tough, though, because anytime you see Mr. Freeze in any medium, you compare it to what's considered the gold standard of Mr. Freeze, which, as we all know, is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
True.
My video cut out. Are you guys... It sounds like you're cheering. It sounds like you're nodding and applauding in firm agreement. Oh, my video came back. Okay, I'm going to assume that's what you guys were doing. So anytime we get a Freeze that, isn't as bold to make those kind of puns, I kind of, I'm a little hesitant, but this one I loved a lot.
So you're switching teams to Condiment King, is what I'm hearing.
Maybe.
Plus Mr. Freeze is an excellent host. He cooks them lunch. It's pretty cute.
Describe the mouthfeel. It was such a great sequence, especially because there is a lot of, and this was just, sometimes this show really has my number, and I'm always amazed by it, where when they were setting up the sort of the creepier dimensions of Mr. Freeze. I mean, you get the experimentation is not a great thing, and then you get into that lunch scene. By the time they had pulled off the big reveal, I think my favorite line in the entire episode was when Harley was like, well, if you had seen him feed her soup, you would have been just as worried. Because I was like, oh, I would do that.
Yeah.
That would,
That was weird. I mean, look, all I'm saying is if you feed her soup, that soup's gonna have to leave her at some point, and I don't want to get into what Mr. Freeze has to do with that ice block woman.
He would do anything for love, and he would do that.
He would.
Because he's a Meatloaf fan.
This take was so amazing to me because I had been surprised when we first saw hints of this Mr. Freeze coming into this season. I was sort of surprised when it wasn't a more overtly in-your-face comedic take, because the show has excelled at doing that. Like Bane and Scarecrow, within seconds of meeting them, you understand exactly the high concept thing that's going on with them. And I was like, that's weird. This Mr. Freeze, he's great, but he just seems like Mr. Freeze. And it turns out it's because they were keeping this extraordinary story in pocket so that they could both honor this madcap world of Harley Quinn and deliver, I don't know, y'all, the perfect sequel to Heart of Ice?
I couldn't agree with you more. It really was an amazing sequel to that story. Amazing.
Well, and while we're talking about Heart of Ice, we also have to talk about Nora, Rachel Dratch. She's so good, and she's so
good.
lovable. And
Yeah,
I want her to live.
Do you think she'll get her small business back?
I don't know.
I hope so. But here's my question. Since this show is obviously not shy about dispatching very famous, well-known bad guys. We've already lost the Penguin. There goes Mr. Freeze. I'm sure I'm forgetting other people. Scarecrow. So, I mean, if this show, assuming it runs forever as it should...
May it run 1,000 years.
May it run 1,000 years. I assume we're going to start seeing some really obscure bad guys. Even more obscure than, who was last week? Was it Mr. Trap?
Mr. Trap!
Yeah.
Mr. Trap. Also, Calendar Man in the first episode. Where are they going to go?
I don't know, but I love it. I love it.
Let's talk wedding planning.
Yay!
Oh,
Condiment King!
Whitney, are you having any flashbacks?
Is this
Honestly,
what it was like?
I think that this is real for every bride and husband and person to be, is you have to find your ideal location, and then your nemesis shows up, and you have to compete with them to see which the venue coordinator likes more. I certainly had to do that.
Wow.
Okay, but y'all, Kite Man has a nemesis, and now Ivy shares this nemesis. Condiment King has come to Harley Quinn. What do we think of him?
I cannot tell you how much I love that we have Condiment King as a real character on this show. He's an absolute doofus. He also somehow is getting married, so it really does prove there's someone for everyone, I guess. And I loved that was a thing, and also good on Ivy for making her groom-to-be's nemesis her nemesis.
Yeah.
That's true
That's
love.
loyalty.
That's loyalty, yeah.
Yeah. I love Tartar for now. All of his puns.
I relish those puns.
Oh, so good.
So we get some amazing extra voice performances from two folks that we're seeing elsewhere in the episode. Condiment King is yet another starring turn from Alan Tudyk.
Yes.
There's nothing he can't do.
Literally nothing, I think.
Nothing.
And our venue manager is pulling double duty, Alfred Molina. I loved him. He was great.
Also, hey, while we're talking about voice acting, I want to give a shout out to Matt Oberg, who is the voice of Kite Man, who we all adore. And I feel bad because I'm realizing I feel like last week I talked about him and only referred to him as Kite Man. And of course, there is a human man behind Kite Man, and it's Matt.
Dude, that's the thing about some character actors, is they just become their characters so completely. And so our apologies, because we've been talking a lot of smack about Kite Man.
Not all of us. Some of us have been on Team Kite Man since day one.
It's been a journey.
Day one, Kite Man.
That was the wrong day to love Kite Man, but we can both agree that he's being real cute these days. Okay, so which couple do you want to see more of? Victor and Nora somehow? Or maybe King Shark and Tabitha and or Leslie?
Very interested in that love triangle. I want to see King Shark and Leslie and Tabitha.
I too want to see King Shark and Tabitha. But I'm sorry. For me right now, Ivy and Kite Man are my relationship goals.
Your OTP.
Yeah.
Should we make it to the finish line and Ivy and Kite Man get to have this wedding, which A, do you think they will manage to have it at the corn factory, after all, in some manner? And B, who would you bring as your date?
I do not think they're going to get the old Gotham corn factory. But I would say I would bring as my date, now hear me out, Clayface. But
Dang it, that's what I was going to say.
No, but hear me out. It's going to be Clayface as the Condiment King, because then I'm going to get him to first apologize to Kite Man and then horribly embarrass himself in front of all the wedding guests just to make Kite Man feel so good about everything. Because, guys, it's his wedding day. That's my gift to Kite Man.
What a good
Yours
present.
is a lot less petty than mine. I would pick Clayface as Bruce Wayne and have him come and, like, be a real party animal, like, crazy wild dude and embarrass himself a bunch. Or maybe as Batman. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I was gonna go with Clayface also. I think I would have him come maybe as this new character, as Sandra, single by choice. And then we can just dance up a storm, you know? But I do think that Clayface would probably really enjoy getting 3 separate wedding invites, and he'd probably attempt to go with all of us and just juggle us like an 80s sitcom.
Oh,
Where's
you're
that
absolutely
spin-off
right.
episode?
You're absolutely right, and if they don't write that episode, Amy, it's a Shonda. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that. It's a Shonda Rhimes. It's a whole other thing. Never mind.
That does it for our recap of one of the sweetest episodes of Harley Quinn yet. Don't forget you can watch all of these episodes right now on DC Universe. As for us, we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye.